Hello everyone and welcome back for the first time in a long time to Bot War. It has been a lot longer than I realised since this was last on the channel. The creator of the game got back in touch asking if I was still playing and I was like, oh yeah, sure, and then I looked at how long it had been since it was last on the channel and it was almost a year. It was 11 months with a few days, and that was a lot longer than I felt like, although I do feel like the last few years, the pandemic years I guess as you could call them, they kind of smeared together to one long year, so time is a little bit distorted in Lordran, as they say. I just realised I shouldn't make video game references on the tabletop channel, but whatever. Either way, we are back with some Bot War, and between the last video and now I have gotten the other half of the second edition starter set painted up, so we're going to see the entirety of the second edition starter set, which is still the current starter set for the game. It's the most up-to-date one. We're going to see all of that painted and played today. And just as a reminder, the starter set and some of the buildings on the table were given to the channel by the creator of the game. Not sponsored or anything like that, but given for free. So these are the Valiants from the second edition starter box. Now Valiants have actually been broken into like sub-faction specialised units now, but apparently you can still run them just as a combined force. It is still a legal way to play them, but in tournament settings you would want to be specialising in one of the sub-factions that you can learn more about at the website. But this is what you get in the second edition starter box, starting from back left, and the cubes in front of them are how much power they're giving to the team each turn, unless they're dead. We have C.O.I.L.S, we have Traffic Stop, we have Supercharge, and then bottom row, left to right, we have, I think he's called Herbs, I'm trying to do this from memory, RG, who's a itty bitty sniper, and Cold Start. Now to bring this up to an even 70 points, which is what the coils are, from the starter set, and C.O.I.L.S has been given a 2-point upgrade so that he can ignore 1 extra damage once per game. I think it's called the Will of the One. So way back when we last covered the game, we did see the coil side of the starter set, and this is it again. And I'm going to have to cheat and look at the cards this time for their names, but back row from left to right, we have Raven, Shogun, Slaughter, Deep State, and then down here is the last proper bot, we have Forked Tongue, and then we have the 2 itty bitty ones named Core Drill and Mineshaft. I don't actually remember if those are the right cards for those two, but to make it 70 points on the dot, that is the stat card they're using. Last time they were on the table, they used the Host and Symbiote roles, so they started inside Shogun. This time we're going to use their other role just to give it a go. It's called Tunneler, or Tunneling, so they can't start on the board, and then from turn 2 onwards they've got a 50-50 chance of drilling into the map. They can be anywhere in the map as long as it's 5 inches away from an enemy, which I think will be relevant for the scenario we're going to play today. On that note, let's go give it a look. So today from the second edition rulebook we're going to be doing scenario 5. It's called Protect the Cargo. It can last up to 8 turns assuming a side isn't wiped out before that. You roll a t6 and whoever rolls highest gets given a, what is it referred to as, the cargo, I guess, the special cargo. You give it to one of your team that doesn't have the air support super ability and isn't a dedicated flyer, and they are holding it, and their goal is to take it to the enemy deployment zone, which is 5 inches in from either side of the table. So whichever side ends up with it, they're taking it to the other end. The other side is trying to stop them. If they do stop them, they can pick it up and take it to the enemy deployment zone, and if any side manages to get it to the edge of the table, they get 10 victory points. There is also other victory points available for kills, and the number of victory points you get for the kill is dependent on the number of health the character has. 4 or less is 1 victory point, 5 to 6 is 2, 7 or more is 4. So even if someone does manage to get the cargo across the table, they could still lose it on points from kills. There is technically 1 extra model in the coils, although 2 of them aren't on the table to start with. And to represent who is holding the cargo, once we're deployed and everything, we're going to be using this green cube and just put it on their base. So we'll be back with all that done, set up and good to go for round 1. So we're all set up and good to go. The Valiants are on your left and they have the precious cargo. We'll show where it is in a second. The coils are on your right. The game works in strategy rating, fastest strategy rating to slowest, although the slower units tend to be stronger from SR1 to SR10. So that'll be the way we do it, and if there's any tie breaks, the Valiants go first. So with that, we can just quickly show where everyone is lined up, and the coil's trying to cover basically every potential route that could be taken to get to their board edge, the 5 inches in. And then we come over here for the Valiants. We've got 2 down here, 3 down here, and one up there. And the green cube is right there on C.O.I.L because he has the ram attack ultimate ability or special ability, so he does fit the criteria for holding on to it. He's been given 4 of the communal energy pool as well, so he can boost his defense a couple of times if he needs to in his turn. And I think that covers everything. I think we're ready to jump in with whoever is fastest on the table. I think it's a couple of people for the coils. Most of the Valiants are strategy rating 4. Yeah, 3 of them are 4. So yeah, that'll be the coils going first for the most part. So it is the coils going first, but their quickest strategy ratings are strategy rating 2 on Core Drill and Mineshaft, who are not on the table. Forgot to mention, but if the rolls happen to go really bad for them coming in from turn 2 onwards, if they're still not on the table by the end of the game, they count as being destroyed. But it's very unlikely we'll fail that many 50-50 chances, but just mentioning it as a point of note. So next fastest who's actually on the table is Deep State. Fork Tongue is also strategy rating 3, and Fork Tongue is actually strategy rating 1. I misread and read his shield, so he should have gone first. Deep State is second, but they still go before any Valiants, so we'll still keep this turn as is. But yeah, actually Fork Tongue should have gone first. I missed that. Strategy rating 1. Either way then, Deep State, he moved up 7 inches to where he is here. He initiated a long range attack, so you lose 1 die if you're shooting long range. Only rolled 2 hits. He was going against Supercharge, and Supercharge rolls 3 shield dice, and he managed to fully block the damage. Moved Deep State up pretty much in the open because he has Iron Skin, so he gets to reroll shield dice against ranged attacks, so he's got that little bit of extra protection compared to the others. As it turns out though, his friend next to him should have gone first, so let's cover that as well. So Fork Tongue, who should have gone first, activated, moved 7 for 1 action, then spent the other cube on him to do a long range attack as well, so 3 dice down to 2 because it's long range. Anything over 10 inches up to 24 is long range, just as a reminder. Also, consistently got 2 hit markers on Supercharge, who again was rolling 3 shield dice, and he also fully blocked the damage. Now, it has been so long since we played this game, I'm looking at it in the way it's recorded and thinking, oh, maybe it'd be a better idea to do this instead. So we are going to do this one like I did the others, where energy on the box are kept on their cards and spent that way. But let me know if you think, for the sake of watchability, if it would be better if the energy cubes distributed at the start of each turn are shown on the table, subtracted when used, so you know who's in what situation energy wise. It might help with the keeping track of who could boost attacks, who could boost shields, that kind of thing. Let me know if that would be better, or if it would make the table too cluttered. We're up to strategy rating 4, and that means the Valiants have a few activations now. I don't think the coils go again until strategy rating 6. So RG went, which is the itty bitty sniper bot, paid 1 energy cube to moved 7 kind of diagonally. Doesn't want to get super close because they work well at long range. On that note, they fired. They still lose 1 die for firing at long range as far as I can tell, but they have the sniper rule, which means they aren't limited by the 24 inches max range for 1, and they can convert 1 ranged die to a crit die. So that is what has been done. 3 hits were rolled, and they fired against Fork Tongue because they don't have Iron Skin, but he did have 3 defense dice and managed to fully block the damage. Herbs was up next for the Valiants, also strategy rating 4, and he's efficient, so he only had 1 cube on him, but he could still do 2 things. He opted to move twice for a total of 14 inches up to there. He is small enough that those rocks are currently shielding him from any kind of field of view. The last of the strategy rating 4s on the table was Supercharger, who moved once and then moved kind of like a half move up into the hangar here for cover out of line of sight. He's not very great at ranged attacks, so he didn't bother trying to do a long range shot. It'd just be 1 die. So opted to hide to try and get into close combat next turn. So now it goes to strategy rating 6. There's no 5s on the table, so it goes to 6. Both sides have 6s, but in the case of a tie, if there's Valiants on the table, they go first. So for the Valiants, it was Traffic Stop, that is SR6, and he just moved up twice next to Herbs over here, also not bothering trying to do a long range shot. I actually think he wouldn't have been able to see anyone anyway prior to the second move, so he's just holding on. He banked 1 energy for any kind of defense. The strategy rating 6 for the Coils is affectionately named Slaughter, and he moved twice for a total of 14 to get him up to these rocks here. So he's got a little bit of cover from RJ the Sniper all the way down here, and puts him in a good position where he can pick to go that way if C.O.I.L goes that way with the goods, or the other way. So with no strategy rating 7s on the table at all, we're up to 8s, and both sides have an 8. So Valiants first, Cold Start, who started on top of this rock down here. He moved twice to slip up the side of this hangar here. He is slightly further forwards as a result, but not doing anything else. It was the big boy for the coils, who is also in strategy rating 8, Shogun. He moved up 8 inches to where you can see him and then did a long range attack. So he was losing 1 die for shooting long range, but he got the best possible result on 2 dice. He got 6 hits. Going into Cold Start, who has 3 shield dice, and unfortunately he whiffed a little bit. He got 1 success. He took a massive 5 damage. He is still alive, but barely. He has 6 health, and it is possible that Raven, which is the next to activate, because I think, yeah, it's only C.O.I.L.S left for the Valiants, and he's strategy rating 10. So we're on to the 9s, and it is Raven, and it is possible that Raven over there can just walk up and finish him off. Raven is real quick and moves 10 inches, so they flew all the way in, which put them in short range, so no range dice being lost. Didn't have any energy to boost the attack, nor did Cold Start. 2 damage going in, but 4 damage blocked means that Cold Start is going to live, well, for now. He does go pretty late in the turn, so there's every chance for him to get killed in turn 2. And now it's over to C.O.I.L.S, it's the last activation for the first turn. So C.O.I.L.S just ended up moving twice because he's got to get that cargo to the other end of the table, but I will say I forgot that his Inspiring Presence rule doesn't have a range, it's just line of sight. It wouldn't have made any difference for what happened to Cold Start. I think RJ is just small enough that he wouldn't have seen or been able to draw line of sight over that rock he's next to. Supercharger could have had 1 reroll on his attack that he did. Actually no, he didn't attack, did he? Who else attacked? Actually I think RJ was the only one who attacked for the Valiant, right? So it would have come down to the shield dice, and his Supercharger's blocks were fine. So never mind, it doesn't make any difference to gameplay, but it will matter going forward. Anyone on the Valiant side that can just draw line of sight, and doesn't matter how far away they are, can reroll 1 die per turn. So it could be a shield dice or an attack dice, but only once for the turn. Either way, C.O.I.L.S is moving up there. He is tough, he's strong. I think he's 10 HP, 4 attack, 4 shield dice, plus extra for boosting. So he's not super scared of what's going on over here, but he does go last on the table, so it means everybody gets a chance to pile on him before he can do anything. With that said, I think that's the end of the round. So as we cross over into the second turn of the game, we're going to quickly check just now to see if Core Drill or Mineshaft, we'll do it in that order, come onto the table on 4 pluses. 1 does, and oh, where'd it go? No, so Mineshaft does not, but we'll see where he's going, well, where the other one is going rather, and show you at the top of turn 2. So energy has been distributed to everyone who's on the table, and we can show you where that tumbling core drill popped up. He popped up right there. Has to be outside of 5 inches for it to be a legal placement, but he's obviously gunning for the backline sniper right there. Now there is a couple of people who could potentially turn around and shoot him, and they're not exactly tough. They've got 4 health and 2 shield dice, but if left unchecked could tie up the sniper, which would be a bad thing. And they are going to go before any Valiants do, but first we have Fork Tongue to get the turn started. So the super quick strategy rating 1, Fork Tongue activated, moved into cover behind the hangar there, within short range as well, and initiated a ranged attack on C.O.I.L.S. C.O.I.L.S boosted his defense for 1 energy, only ended up scoring 2 successes in the attack roll, so it wasn't super necessary, but there's the defense roll, and C.O.I.L.S takes no damage. He has 3 energy left on him. Well, strategy rating 2 meant Deep State was activating next. He stayed still and did 2 boosted close range attacks on C.O.I.L.S. The first one C.O.I.L.S boosted his defense against, which of course he didn't need to. That 1 success up there, that's the only success there was in the roll. It was easily blocked. The second attack, which C.O.I.L.S could not afford to boost his defense against, was a massive 7. So he just had his base 4 defense against that, but he did manage to get 6. So he has taken 1 point of damage. He's got 9 health left. And now it's strategy rating 3s because we have Core Drill in the field, so it's still with the coils, they're still activating. Well, Core Drill did the expected thing, moved into close combat with RJ to tie up that sniper and attacked. 2 base close combat dice, you get an extra crit die when you're doing a melee attack. RJ used one of the 2 energy they have to boost defense, still managed to take 1 damage. It could have been a lot worse. He only has 4 health, so he's down to 3 remaining, and he is now one of the 3 Valiants that get to activate in a row now. Well, might as well stick down here as one of the first of those 3 activations. So RJ activated, initiated close combat, a single die with that crit die thrown in for it being a close combat attack, and Core Drill blanked out his both shield dice, so he did take 3 damage, putting him on 1 health remaining. RJ only had that one energy left to spend, so he can't do any other actions, but he's taking advantage of, if you successfully land a hit in close combat that does damage, you are allowed penalty free to pull back an inch and break combat, which might mean if Supercharger decides to, or Supercharge, he can shoot in and maybe finish him off for a victory point. Herbs was up next, and that's the green one on the right there. He just stayed still and did 2 ranged attacks, short range, into Raven, and the first one blanked out completely, so no shield roll required. Second one only got 2 hits, and Raven gets 4 shield dice, so easily blocked it. They're the only one on the C.O.I.L.S that has 4 shield dice, I believe, by default. Yep, so tied with C.O.I.L for biggest shield roll on the table. Totally unhurt, still only has 4 health though, so if you do get through that defense, you can take him down pretty easily. So Supercharged was the last of the SR4s to activate, and he did a ranged attack into Core Drill, getting 4 successful hits, and Core Drill only blocked 2. So that is enough that he is out of there. Now we're going to add up points for kills at the end, just try and keep it a bit of a surprise how it's going. So for Supercharged's other action, he's spending 2 energy, because he was given 3 in total this turn, to use his once per game air support, which is normally times your movement by 3, move within that and you can fly. So you can pass over intervening terrain and things like that. But he also has the rule called teleport, so he can actually go anywhere on the table for doing this. So we just pull back a little bit. He is teleporting behind you by teleporting all the way over here behind this building here, just poking his head out right behind enemy lines to maybe shoot some people in the back next turn. So Valiants go first, and that means the first 6 strategy rating on the table traffic stop, which is the yellow taxi down there, gets to activate first. He did 2 ranged attacks into Raven. The 2 up there is the only successes in the first roll. The second is the successes in the second roll, including a reroll from Sharpshooter, which you can use once per turn. Didn't bother using it on the first one because the damage was so bad. That said though, the block, there was only 1 successful block out of 4 dice on the first attack, so he took 1 damage from that. Second defense was 5 successes though, again 6 damage, so he took another point of that. So it's actually half Raven's health gone now. He's taken 2 damage in total. Slaughter was up as the SR6 for the C.O.I.L.S. His hobbies include ponies and rainbows. He moved up 7 inches over here, and rather than going after C.O.I.L this turn, he opted to shoot into RJ. Got 4 successes. RJ got 2 successes on his shields. That extra 2 damage is, and actually is that enough, or did he have 3 health remaining? I think he might have had 3 health remaining. Hang on a second. He had 3 health remaining, so he is actually still alive on 1 health. He's hanging in there barely. Cold Start is once again the first of the SR8s to activate, and he spent 2 cubes immediately to do his once per game ram attack. It's movement plus 3 inches, giving him 10 total, and if you get into base to base with an enemy, you get a second crit die instead of the usual 1. It's you transforming into a vehicle and slamming into the enemy. So he did that into Raven. He got a total of 7 successful hits versus 4 shields, 3 damage, much more than the 2, well not much more, 1 more than the 2 required. That Raven is out of there, so he will not be activating towards the end of the turn because he was an SR9. But now the SR8 gets to activate for the C.O.I.L.S, and that's the big guy right there. Well, before moving elsewhere, Shogun did decide to do a little bit of a parting shot into Cold Start to try and finish him off for some points. Only got 1 success in the attack roll, still had to roll out the defense roll though, because if it all came up blanks he would have been dead. He got 2, so he did live, so Cold Start lives to laugh another day. He is hanging on by a thread for another turn. Shogun then spent another cube to move over here, kind of blocking the way through here so C.O.I.L can't just kind of slip by, because it will be over to him soon. He's still got 1 cube on him if he needs to defend anything, and that's it. Well, danger very much close for C.O.I.L, who was the last activation on the table. He moved up 7 and then did a ranged attack into Fork Tongue, because Fork Tongue activates first in the turn to try and get rid of him. 3 blocked dice from him there, and that still meant that 4 got through from the attack from C.O.I.L. Lived though. Fork Tongue has 6 health, so he's got 2 left and will be getting to activate next turn. So before we go into turn 3, we're just going to do the roll now. Does Mineshaft come onto the table in turn 3? Yes, he does. So we'll show where he is at the top of 3. So at the top of turn 3, it is pick on the sniper day, because Mineshaft has popped up just outside of 5 of RJ there as well, hoping to finish him off for some points. I'm not going into the specifics of how much energy is on every character, but I will say for this turn, C.O.I.L, who is surrounded by 4 enemies, He has 6 energy on him, I think. 2, 4... No, he has 7 energy of the 15 the team has in total now at this point, I think. He's got 7 of them. Well, Forktongue got the turn started and opted not to shoot at C.O.I.L. He did 2 boosted attacks into Supercharge instead. The reason for that is his weapons have blast, so if he'd shot into C.O.I.L., he would have accidentally been wounding his own allies rather with true damage. Shogun is close enough that he would have got caught. Maybe Deep State as well. Either way, that's why he chose a different target. Just showing the successes of the 2 rolls there just because of a limited dice. 3 on the first attack and 2 on the second. Supercharge opted not to boost. He did have 1 energy for boosting, potentially saving that for an attack. So his first defense roll was a single success on his 3 dice, meaning he took 2 damage, but on the second he blocked 6 of the 2 coming in, so no damage there. So that's 2 of his, I think he has 5 or 6 health. Deep State activated and did 2 boosted attacks right into C.O.I.L.'s face. The dice you see behind him is the result of the second roll only, because there were so many dice having to be rolled, because C.O.I.L. also boosted his defense twice, so he was getting 5 defense dice versus 4 attack dice, and the first hit that got through would have done 2, but C.O.I.L. made use of his once per game to reduce that by 1, so he took 1 from that, and then this is the result of the second attack where 5 was coming in, he blocked 3 and took another 2. So all said and done, he is down to 6 health, and he still has 5 energy on him. Mineshaft activated, moved into close combat with RJ, and initiated Felonious Assault for 5 total damage with 1 blocked. So our poor Picton sniper is out of there for the game. That's the first actual casualty for the Valiants. So he won't be activating as part of the SR4s whose turn it is to go now. So it's just down to Herbs and Supercharge. Herbs was the first one of those 2 to activate, moved 7 onto the runway there and initiated a ranged attack, close range, into Mineshaft. 4 damage going in, 4 damage blocked, just like that, the little guy can take it. Supercharge stayed where he was and ended up attacking at range twice into Forktongue to try and take him out. Forked tongue, either way. First attack, literally no successes, so no block required. He boosted the second one, opting not to do anything else, and managed to get 7 successes, although Forktongue almost survived. He managed to block 5, but the 2 that got through is enough that he explodinated and has been removed. So I think it's on to SR6s now, because there's no 5s on the table. Traffic Stop suffered a little bit of impaired movement to move up onto the central area, the rocky area there, to shoot a ranged attack close range into Shogun, opting not to give Shogun cover because he's so large compared to the little bit of boulder it's only kind of in his way. So 5 successes going in. He didn't buff his defense, but still managed to block 4 of it, so he took 1, leaving him with 7 HP remaining because he has 8 to start with. Lover of Puppies Slaughter activated next, moving 7 back here because he also has blast on his weapons, so he didn't really want to hurt Shogun by shooting into C.O.I.L. yet. So he shot into Supercharge, got 3 successes, but those were fully blocked. Well, the Coils are definitely going to curse the day that they let Cold Start survive on 1 health, because he activated, he moved into position and did a basic ranged attack, short range, 3 dice, into Shogun's back, getting almost perfect results. Now, only 1 more pip would have been perfect at 9. So 8 damage coming in. Shogun had 3 energy on him. He opted not to use any because he was hoping to do an attack, an ranged boosted attack against C.O.I.L. right after this, because he's the same strategy rating. But on his 3 defense dice, he rolled 1 success, which means he's taken 7 damage and just gone and died. Which is the first massive spike of the game. Absolutely disastrous for the Coils, because he was literally about to activate. They're both the same strategy rating, and the Valiants go first rule kicked in. Obviously a very high roll on the results there. But yeah, the Cold Start had just died in turn 1 to Raven attacking him. All that mattered was 1 health. If he died, that wouldn't have happened. Shogun would have got an action just now. But because of that, 7 damage just gone. He's done the most damage on the table in a single blow. Well, because of what just happened, we're all ready to C.O.I.L's the last activation for the turn, and he spent 2 on a ram attack, and then boosted a close combat attack for another 1 on top of the 1 spent to do it. So he spent 4 in total, and did this into poor, I've blanked on your name, oh, Slaughter, how could I forget Slaughter? And hopefully that's the right number of dice. 4 base, 1 crit for it being a close combat, 2 crit because he used ram attack, 1 extra purple because of boosting. Slaughter had nothing to boost with, blocked 2 of the damage, which is a fair effort, but not when that much damage is coming in. So, how very fitting that he's pointing the gun right at his head. I know he's supposed to be close combat, but still, just boom, headshot, all gone. Now, C.O.I.L. has a combat shield and a combat sword, which are actually 2 defensive items for close combat, so all he's got going for him is the number of dice he rolls in general for shooting in close combat. But that is another threat removed from the table, and it takes us to the end of the turn. So at the end of the third turn, there's nothing to check for units coming back in, but just as a point of note, not looking good for the Coils. They only have 2 units left. They've got Mineshaft down there, and they have Deep State both at full health, but that's all they've got going for them. And if C.O.I.L. gets to the opposite side there, which he can easily do next turn, I think, he does get removed from the table, but it scores 10 victory points, and he doesn't count as a casualty as far as I'm aware, because that would be insane. So it's not looking great. We'll see what happens. We'll play it out anyway, but it's looking good for the Valiants. Let's put it that way. Well, for the 4th turn, the lowest strategy rating left alive on the table is Deep State at 2, and then Mineshaft is activating right after him at strategy rating 3, and then it's all Valiants all the time. He did 2 boosted attacks into C.O.I.L.'s back. C.O.I.L. boosted his defense both times. 1 success in the first roll, but the second had 9. Didn't bother leaving the defense roll there for the first one. He fully blocked it with ease. The second one, though, only blocked 5. So 4 damage got through, leaving C.O.I.L. on 2 health, meaning that it is not impossible that Mineshaft could just walk up. I don't think he can get in short range, so it'd have to be long range. So he'd only be getting, what, 1 die? Well, he only has 1 ranged attack by default, so does that mean he can't do long range attacks because you have to subtract 1? So actually he won't be able to do that. He might be able to scrape some points together if he kills Herbs, though. Yeah, so rather than try and go after C.O.I.L. because he can't really manage it, Mineshaft tried to get some points here by killing Herbs. Did really well with his attack roll. The crit die could have been better, but still managed to get 5. Herbs blocked 2, he took 3, and he's a 4 health model, so he lived on 1 HP. Cold start all over again. The Coils just can't quite secure the kill. So now, we still have to go in strategy rating order, but it's just all the Valiants get to go now. Well, we're sticking down here because Herbs is the first of the SR. Actually, is he the last surviving SR4? Oh no, Superchargers or Supercharge. Either way, he did a basic range attack, which is the black die and the purple die right there. He did well with it, 5, which came down to 3 damage because Mineshaft blocked 2. He took advantage of landing a successful hit so he could pull out of combat for free. And then he did a range attack because his range attack is slightly better, and even if he failed, that meant the traffic stop could turn around and finish the job. As it turns out though, he got 4, 3 was blocked, but the one that went through finished the job, and Mineshaft is out of there, making Deep State the last one standing for the Coils. Supercharge stayed where he was for the 2nd turn in a row just to pump out some powered up shots, this time into Deep State, who thanks to that Iron Skin gets to reroll 1 shield dice per turn. No, per attack per turn. The successes on the first attack are shown there, 5, but it was fully blocked. And then on the second lot he got 4, blocked 3, so 1 damage got through, and that leaves Deep State on 6 health. Cold Start was up next, and again they really should have killed him when they had the chance. He moved up and then did a boosted attack into Deep State's back, who only blocked 1 of the damage that came in, meaning that he took 4, leaving him on 2. It's worth pointing out Cold Start has a rule called Surge, I think it is. So if you have excess power on him after he does a successful attack that dealt damage, any extra energy he has on him still does 1 point of true damage. Opted to do a boosted attack instead just because the potential payout was higher. But if he'd kept that power on him, 1 less die would have been rolled, but 1 true damage would have got through, which I guess in some cases, if they're like really defended, might be the better option. Either way, it's over to Traffic Stop. His goal is to finish off Deep State to save C.O.I.L. having to do it. Traffic Stop hopped down off the rock there and he secured the kill with 8 damage coming in. 2 was blocked, so Deep State is out of there, and that is a tabling for the Coils, although we are going to finish the turn with C.O.I.L. doing 2 walks. Actually, 1 might have been enough to get into the deployment though, to cash in the cargo for 10 victory points. So here is the surviving Valiants triumphant, losing only RJ, meaning that the Coils actually only scored 1 victory point. They were so close to scoring more though. Cold Start would have died and he would have been worth 2 more. Herbs would have died and he's worth 1 more. C.O.I.L. came down 2 points and he would have been worth 4. But as it is with the 10 for getting the cargo, I think it was 27 victory points to the Valiants. So a little bit ahead of the Coils there. maybe they are a bit strong on their combined effort, which is why they've been broken down into sub-factions that focus on more specific play styles rather than mixing and matching. Or maybe they just got lucky because they started with the thing. Who knows? And C.O.I.L is very powerful. So, forgive anything that was done wrong. It has been about a year, almost exactly a year. It was 11 months and 15 days or something since this was last played on the channel, so it has been a while. It will be back now and then though, and you can also check out the painting update videos to see progress on painting new models from the range as well. And if you want to learn more about it, check out the link in the description box below. Thank you very much for watching though, I sincerely hope you enjoyed, and please do remember to show your support if you wish to see more, so I know what to focus the channel's efforts onto. And if you want to go above and beyond to support what we do here, consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It's all reinvested in the channel, picking stuff up for the channel, and producing these videos. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll hopefully see you in the future for more. Until then, ta for now.